Hello, my name is Brittany Bixman, and I will be completing my article review on integrated communication strategies for creating awareness on sanitation and hygiene behavior change. Currently, poor sanitation practices negatively affect the development and health of the individual, the community, and the nation. Poor sanitation, such as open defecation, leads to contaminated drinking water and food supplies, exposure to pathogenic bacteria and diseases, and an overall negative impact on the nation's socio-economic development. India is facing issues with promoting healthy sanitation practices among their rural population. India implemented the Information Communication Education Strategy to educate and motivate the public to support proper sanitation practices and demand sanitary facilities. India has developed the Total Sanitation Campaign to promote healthy sanitation practices among the population. However, despite making these issues a priority, there are still negative public attitudes and barriers to the utilization of toilets and safe sanitation practices. The study aimed to determine the current views of the public on this topic and how to best communicate and sensitize the population to this pressing issue. The research problem being addressed by the study is that there is a lack of understanding of the barriers to communicating healthy sanitation messages and a need to develop a more effective communication strategy for this population. The three objectives of the research study were to 1. Know the awareness level of sanitation and hygiene among the rural people. 2. To analyze the effectiveness of the Information Education Communication or IEC strategy on the sanitation and hygiene behavior of the rural people. And 3. To understand the existing situation and to suggest an integrated communication strategy for addressing sanitation behavior with suggested tools, methods, and materials for various stakeholders. The researchers used 3 methods to collect data on the current sanitation practices and to develop a more effective communication campaign. The first method consisted of a focus group discussion. The focus group consisted of 80 stakeholders. The participants were made up of village people representatives, sanitation workers, sanitation officials, IEC field functionaries, media experts, and sanitation experts. The topics that were discussed included sanitation awareness, the people's sanitation and hygiene behaviors, the usage of the IEC strategy, and the current problems with the issue. A survey was utilized as the second method of data collection. Participants were selected through stratified random sampling, and participants consisted of primary and secondary stakeholders, such as households, teachers, students, and self-help groups. The survey was a self-administered questionnaire that focused on collecting data about demographics, sanitation behaviors, awareness of sanitation, and the IEC program exposure. Finally, a participatory consultation was conducted in order to review the previous findings and develop an effective communication campaign. The consultation meeting had a total of 110 participants who were involved in the IEC program. These participants consisted of project officers, district coordinators of sanitation, and experts from sanitation and media. During the consultation, the results from the focus group and the survey were shared, and then an organized discussion was set into place to discuss a new communication strategy about sanitation and how to promote sanitation and hygiene behavior change. The focus group findings noted that sanitation and proper hygiene had only been partially achieved by the Total Sanitation Campaign and the IEC strategy. Main reasons for failure of the Total Sanitation Campaign were lack of sanitation awareness, the public attitudes towards toilets, and the existing mindset that outdoor defecation is better than indoor defecation. The results of the focus group discussion highlighted that construction of toilets will not fix the problem alone. Increasing sanitation awareness through mass media reinforcement is important in order to change the attitudes of the public and motivate key influencers in the campaign. These are some of the results from the self-administered questionnaire. The survey results highlighted some of the current sanitary practices of the sample. For instance, only 31% of the sample used toilets, and the rest utilized open defecation. And 2/3 of the individuals had toilets in their home, but only 30% were using them. Overall, parents reported that 72% of children were aware of the importance of using toilets, but were not using toilets in schools because they were locked for private teacher use or were only allowed to be used by girls. The survey also looked at the sample's attitudes about sanitary practices and how they received information about sanitation. The current attitudes towards toilet usage and sanitary practices were that 40% of the sample believed that having a toilet in the house was not a good idea. 16% believed it was too expensive to build a toilet. And then some of the reasons given for a non-utilization of toilets were the lack of water supply, no pits, a far distance from the home, or that the facility was damaged, smelly, or difficult to maintain. In addition, the results of the survey also highlighted that there was a lack of communication about sanitation throughout the rural areas. 4 out of 5 of the sample have never heard of a sanitation message, and most who did hear of the message heard it from their children. The main mode of communication of the message also was through the village and influential leaders, instead of the mass media. Overall, the survey showed that there is a lack of communication about the importance of healthy sanitation practices, and it also highlighted the barriers to utilization of toilets in the home and in public facilities. The participants in the consultation met to review the results of the focus group discussion and the survey in order to engage in an organized discussion to further develop and improve the current sanitation communication plan. An integrated communication strategy with a focus on the individual, the community, and the environmental influences was developed. This plan had several different components, including the further development of communication techniques, with a focus on interpersonal communication, group communication, the mass media, and traditional and folk media communication. There was also a focus on targeting groups, which included targeting specific groups within the community and ensuring that the message was being altered to meet their needs and characteristics. The message design and content design was also addressed. This included developing a positive message that could be easily understood by the public and could be validated with the audience in order to maximize its impact. Celebrity endorsements were integrated into the plan to increase the reach of the message. Public motivation was also addressed by highlighting the need for sanitation-related rewards and incentives. The plan also addressed the need to further their IEC strategy through the creation of more materials for these units and increasing the staffing and funding. Lastly, the communication plan highlighted a need to utilize public and private partnerships to maximize communication efforts. Overall, the purpose of the consultation group was to develop a more effective communication plan based off the previous study, research, and findings. Overall, the research study showed that the public did not place proper sanitation practices as a high priority. Rural India faces many barriers to obtaining healthy sanitation status. The major issue identified in the study was that there is not an effective means of communicating the sanitation message to the public. In addition, the study highlighted that traditional practices and the public's mindset kept people from health behavior change. Through the consultation group, a more effective and holistic communication method was developed. However, in order to ensure its success, there needs to be the proper support and funding. The proper utilization of health audiences can help ensure the campaign is being widely communicated to the public. This study helped to provide further in-depth understanding of the population, the appropriate communication channels to reach the public, and highlighted the gaps in communication. Through the results of this study and the implementation of a more holistic communication plan, this issue of improper sanitation practices can be properly addressed.